Johan, it's so good to see you again. I really enjoyed this morning's conversation. Can you talk to us about the world from the perspective of cybersecurity and scams?
Jane, well, first of all, it's so cool to have you here. Thank you for all the wonderful work that you do for us as an industry, as a society, raising the awareness of this and joining us for RiskX. It's so cool to see you again.
Oh, thank you.
You know, at first glance, if you think about scams and fraud, it's a pretty dark world out there. But I have to tell you, I'm an optimist, and I'm standing here because we believe security is an enabler of trust, an enabler of sustained growth. We think we've got the talent, we think we've got the technology, we think we've got the willpower, and trust underpins all of this. And that's why this an event like what we're doing here today in Rome is so important, to bring the people to the place where we can have those honest conversations around how do we collectively move this to a better place, and how do we help protect our consumers, and how do we protect our small business. I know that's very near and dear to your heart as well. We have to do better on that, but I feel we're making great strides in the right direction. It's not a done deal by all means, and we can never stay back and be complacent, but I feel we have the right tools to our disposal.
Well, it's always on, isn't it? I mean, you spoke about, or that was spoken about this morning.
Yeah. Vision 2030 for us, a big important piece of how do we think about the world in 5 years now, and three fundamental things: always on, always connected. AI field is going to be a thing for us, and then the other side of the coin is we're in a world that's a bit fragmented, so it's going to be more bilateral, perhaps more a little bit transactional. So how do we navigate this space together? What are the fundamental decisions we have to make collectively as an industry to thrive? Because ultimately, we're connecting 3.5 billion consumers, 150 million merchants, more than 20,000 banks in the middle, and all of this has to work seamlessly with trust as the underpinning.
Yeah. What are the three things that Mastercard is doing to protect the ecosystem from cyber threats?
You know, this is something that we are so passionate about. We've invested a tremendous amount of money in order to do this. One of our things that we're so proud of is the recent acquisition of Recorded Future,
yes,
where we can bring real-time intelligence into the transaction stream, making it easier for our banks to protect the end consumer, which ultimately is the one we have to protect, the end consumer or the small business on the side of this transaction. So investing heavily to bring the right intelligence at scale globally. You know, the moment we put this into the network, it reaches everywhere where it goes. And that's the benefit of, I think, the scale that we could do. So there's a big investment there. The second thing that we do that's also important is around standards. How do we ensure this entire complex ecosystem can communicate in an interoperable way, so that if something happens in London, that somebody in Rome and somebody in Tokyo and somebody in Barcelona knows exactly how to protect themselves and to do this. So that is for us a second important piece, is the standards of how do we create an interoperable system. And then lastly is collaboration and partnerships. You know, events like what we're doing here at RiskX, bringing the right stakeholders to the table, having those honest, important conversations around how do we collectively move the needle forward, critically important for us. Those are just three amongst many things that we do.
Yes.
Vision 2030 spells out even more for us out there, so hopefully we can have that conversation at some point in time as well.
Absolutely, I'd love that. What's the one takeaway from RiskX?
You know, this is actually really interesting. I was scanning the room this morning as we walked in, and I was struck by the level of diversity in the room. We've got people from so many nationalities, male, female, young, old. I've been a veteran in the industry for more than 25 years. I've seen people that I've met for the first time, and we're all here with the single goal of making trust work for everybody around the globe. And I think that for me is one takeaway, is that the will is there for us to collaborate. The people are there, the talent are there, and we see it through all the diverse inputs, which is, if you represent a global company, that's what we need.
Absolutely. And also that diversity makes us stronger.
It makes us
because
stronger.
You've got different perspectives on risk and different innovation.
Exactly. You've got vantage points. You know, not all of our consumers look like me, thank God, but you know, that's a reality, and that's why this is so important. And even in the area of fighting risk and fighting cybercrime, what is lovely is to see so many young people interested and willing to take the baton and run with this. So that's pretty phenomenal to see.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Johan.